Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're here watching Isaac, it's a great day for you. We're starting from 0, but we're refreshed. We're rejuvenated. 4YZE for Jam. We're in a better, I don't want to say state of mind. Did I start with the D Infinity or is this D7? It's the freaking D7, dude. Probably. Yeah, because it is a 3-room charge. Hold on, where are we at? There we go. Having played a little bit as the Lost. No, my bone heart though, dude. Having played a little bit as the Lost, I think, despite what just happened to us in that room, which is obviously gonna, you know, run a little bit counter to what I was hoping to accomplish here early, we're gonna be playing, in all likelihood, a better game. A more determined game. A game where we take a little bit less dumb damage from standing right in front of an enemy's face when they shoot us. A game where we don't give our bone hearts up easily to curse rooms. No, I'm not letting myself tilt early on here. It feels like I'm walking on sunshine too, Matthias. Matthias, I don't know. It's one of those names. You know, it's not an unusual name necessarily. But as far as, you know, names in North America go, you know, I don't know if there's a preferred pronunciation. Is it a Matthias? Because we got, you know, back in the Vancouver Canucks history, you got Matthias Oland. Is it Mathis, like Mathis video games? Is it Matthias? I don't know if there is a Matthias, but you know what? You should pronounce the name as somebody wants it pronounced. It's unfortunate, but not unfortunate, but you know, maybe a little annoying if you're the person that's involved, but it's not your name, brother. So, however that person wants it pronounced, they get it pronounced. And I gotta tell you, when it comes to name meta, you know, there's two different kinds of people. There's people who name their kid, well, there's like 3 kinds of people. There's people who name their kid conventionally. Michael, Jessica, Ashley, etc., etc. There's people who give their kids a well-meaning, but perhaps maybe a little bit, I don't want to say comical name, but an idiosyncratic name. Peaches. Apple. Then there's the people who, you know, Nicolas Cage's son, you know, I would never tell anybody how to name their kids necessarily, but his son is named Kal-El, I think. That's too far for my personal standards. I feel like, you know, if I'm naming my kid, I'm more of a conventional name. Because here's the thing. I think if you give your child a unique name, you can do it right, as long as it has like a special significance maybe. I think you can do it right. However, you gotta make sure you're naming your kid for them. You know, not for you. It's the first birthday gift. For your 0th birthday, you give your child a life and you give your child a name. You want to make sure you're not giving them a name that is a gift to yourself. In my opinion. I think you want to give them a name that's, you know, is sturdy. It can get them through life. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people ask me, Ryan, how do you feel about your name? I got no problems with my name. Do I wish that I had a more unique name? Literally never. Do I think of myself more as a Matthew or more as a Tristan or something like that? Not at all. Think of myself as a human being, and a name is just a signifier. But I'll tell you, if I was named like Doofus, I would probably have an issue with it. That's why, you know, because I'm contented with my name, I think that's why I think of, you know, if I was to name my child, I would use a conventional name. I'm more on the conventional side of things. I'm not worried about my child having a boring name. You know? It's not just that it gets the job done. We don't even have a key. It's more that, like, it doesn't put him behind the 8 ball. Because if you name your kid something cool, it could work out really nicely for you. I'm trying to think of some examples. Like, a lot of the names that I see as cool are just not from, you know, the Bible. Is basically what it comes down to. A lot of the names are biblical. You know what I mean? Sometimes you see a name, you're like, oh, Kauai. That's a cool name. I don't know if it necessarily would be my first choice, but, you know, I think it works. Run. But I think you could also mess it up. Everybody has this story, and I don't believe this story is true. I think it's actually troubling. It says something culturally that we're willing to believe the story when it's told without questioning it. Hold on. Don't take that quite yet. Grab it. Grab it. Okay. Totally fine. No keys, though, dude. I guess I'll try to buy one. But, you know what story I'm going to talk about, maybe, because you've heard me say this before. But everybody on Earth, apparently, has a cousin or a nephew or an uncle. They're a substitute teacher. One day, he was at a class, and there was somebody whose name was L.A. and then a hyphen. Please be a stars card. Hermit. All right, well, see you next time. You know, L.A. hyphen A. And then they went, is La here? And then a young woman said, it's LaDasha. I swear to you, I have heard this story, I don't know, maybe at least 5 times. And if you count in person, 5 times. If you count online, I don't know, infinity times. I don't believe that LaDasha exists, okay? I believe that there might be, you know, a few dozen or 100 people out there named LaDasha. I do not believe that there is one singular La where the hyphen is meant to be said as LaDasha. And I've heard some stories of some truly baffling names. I don't want to call them stupid, because this is dangerous territory, you know? I think once you start putting numbers, special characters in names, you know, that's where you start to, you know, just from a bookkeeping standpoint, you're like, could you not? You know, I'm trying to sort by alphabetical order, and I don't know where the % sign goes. But, you know, sometimes a name that sounds weird to you is not actually, you know, well, I mean, it's only weird to you because, you know, maybe you didn't grow up in an area where you met too many Lupitas. You know what I mean? So you gotta be careful with names. You can go cool. I think Apple is a bad name. Now, and Peaches, same thing. First off, you're never gonna be better than the song by the presidents of the United States of America. Stop trying. Secondly, naming someone after an object that exists in the world puts you in a tough spot, right? You always get confused. I always worry about Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter. Hey, New York, the Big Apple. Sorry, what? She pulls her earbud out when he says, sorry, what? Oh, no, Apple, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about New York City, the Big Apple. You think I'm big? No, it's a nickname, Apple, for New York City. I don't know why I'm doing Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's a nickname! It's actually a surprisingly good, exasperated Larry David impression. Anyway. Dun 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 dun. Dum 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 da 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 do da do da do. Let me hydrate here. Anyway. Where was I going with that? I don't even remember what started me off on that bit. Just saying, you gotta be careful with names, you know? Sometimes you see a name and you go, selfish parent. I hate to say it, but, you know, I think some people see, and I'm talking about specifically Nicolas Cage here. Some people see their kid's name as, like, similar to a tattoo. And they're like, well, I always liked Rick and Morty, so I called my kid Richard. Called my kid Mortimer. Called my kid Sir Killatron 3000 or whatever. What is it called? I forget. Anyway, I don't watch the show. I'm not smart enough. I always like Tom Hardy. So I called my son Venom. You know, it's not, it's your child. I mean, it's their life. It is your child, though. Can't say that it's not, you know, your child. You're the steward of that child's life. You gotta choose a name for it. And don't let some childless so-and-so tell you how to name your kid. I don't know, maybe your great-grandfather, you know, is a war hero and his name's Venom. You know? Oh, well, Venom was the name of the Royal Air Force squadron he flew with back in World War II, but I guess I'm not allowed to name my kid Venom anymore. Thanks to some Canadian scumbag online. Posting all over my Facebook. Sorry, I don't know. I love pretending to be 75 years old and talking about Facebook. There's a new wrinkle in my Facebook analysis, by the way. Why don't I delete Facebook? Well, I'm going to tell you something honestly. I think Facebook is probably an evil corporation. I think all extremely large corporations, you know, at that level, you know, they definitely veer towards evilness. This is not a bit, by the way. I don't think that the evilness is usually like, ha ha ha, and then we'll take their data. I think the evilness is usually like a more mundane corporate evil that's like, hey Susan, could you give me a report on the demographics of all of our users? I need to send that over to, you know, the advertising networks before lunch today. You know, I think it's more like that. Facebook might be a little bit more towards the deliberately like evil camp, but to be honest, or let's not say evil, but like malicious, user unfriendly maybe is a better way to put it. Being on Twitter, though, is worse for my mental health than being on Facebook, because on Facebook, I only have people that I know in real life, and I'm very liberal with the mute button, and I don't have to use it for work, so I like, you know, I don't see a whole lot of BS. I just see a lot of stuff I shake my head at and laugh. For whatever reason, I'm not saying it doesn't exist in Canada, but we don't get the same kind of like politics grandpa Facebook sort of thing going on that people seem to be annoyed by. That's also because I stopped adding people on Facebook before old people started to go on Facebook, except for my grandma. But the new era I'm at in Facebook, that's why I'm not, you know, getting rid of it, is because it's actually nice to check on a social network from time to time where nobody posts, and instead I'm just like, oh, I remember being friends with this person, and they're not just like, you know, we're gonna boycott diet cheese, and I'm, okay, you know, that's your prerogative, don't get me wrong, but maybe it'd be better for me to spend less time on a daily basis being angry. Can't sustain that level of rage, especially as a man, you know? What do I mean by that? Well, you know, it's a valid question. Thanks for keeping me honest. I mean, we got a higher incidence rate of, you know, deaths due to heart attack and high blood pressure. So I think active, you know, mood management is probably a little bit more, I'd say it's not prudent for anybody. We're probably a little bit more prudent for men. Trying not to drop dead in my 30s because I'm angry at, I don't know, the Silk Almond Milk Corporation for God knows what reason. Anyway, the new era we're at on Facebook is and I've talked about, you know, we went through new mother era, mom meme era, exclusively the only things that end up being posted for a bit were like advertisements that are just total scams. Like, you know, I drank this tea and lost 30 pounds in a week. You know, well, my condolences, because you did. But, I mean, you don't need me to say that, hopefully. You should be aware this is stuff that is snake oil. Snake oil helps you lose weight? No, not like that. Snakes don't have oil. That's the whole, were you even listening? I bought that item just for my eyes. Anyway. What I was gonna say before I so rudely interrupted myself. We're in a new era, and the era is called, my grandma only posts PSAs for things that are incredibly unlikely to happen to me in real life. God bless her, you know, she's looking, and she doesn't post them on my wall. Sometimes she tags, you know, some of my cousins in it. You know, it's stuff like, you know, if a guy ever comes up to you on the street and asks you for directions, don't give him directions. That's how Ted Bundy got his victims. All right, Grandma, you know? I don't necessarily think you're wrong. I do think maybe you're feeding into some kind of societal, you know, paranoia that thinks everybody's out to get you. But at the same time, I think it's good advice because, you know, I don't. If anybody came up to me now and asked for directions, you know, 10 years ago, big whoop. Now I'm like, yo, something's not right. Everybody has a smartphone. Almost everybody knows how to use Google Maps. You really expect a random person on the street to get you to your destination better than the cloud? I don't think so. What are you trying to murder me, buddy? Regardless. If you ever find yourself in a tsunami and you can't get to high ground, tie your sweatshirt around the closest tree and climb up as high as you possibly can. Grandma! It's not bad advice, it's just... I think you worry too much, Grandma. But, you know, my family comes by it honestly. My mom, you know, me and my wife, we live in Vancouver, British Columbia. You can look at it on the map. There's water around. You're not constantly dodging water. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm walking around and I'm like, oh, the ocean! It's the third time this week I fell in, you know? But my mom, she got really paranoid because I guess there was like a death somewhere in Canada a few years ago where people jumped, not jumped, sorry. I was reading Twitch chat also simultaneously to the side here, but it's a bad idea. Why am I reading Twitch chat? Well, it's a long story. I pop out chat for me and then I go host Kate, and sometimes I would neglect to close it, and then there's scrolling text and I see people talking about me simultaneously, so I figured I'd go look at it. But either way, people drove their car accidentally into like the harbor, and then they couldn't crack their windows. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of water pressure, so the amount of force it takes to open your car door, if you're even under like, you know, 6 inches of water, it's a lot. It takes a lot of power. So my mom got me like an axe. I don't know how to describe it. An axe is not the right word. She got me like a hammer that you put in your car, and it comes to like a super diamond point or something like that. And the point is that if you ever find yourself in the car and you're in the water, you use this thing to break a window and get out. It's not a bad thing to have it, but simultaneously my mom was like, you know, hey, did you put that in your car? You just put it in your side panel. You just keep it there just in case something happens. And it's nice because she loves me, you know, and she cares about me. But I'm also like, Mom, if you're gonna worry about, you know, real things. Worry about, you know, a family history of disease. Worry about, you know, real mental health issues from a career where you're inundated at all times with anonymous feedback and nobody seems to think they're part of the problem even when they are. Hold on. I see a good opportunity to pop into chat. That's going to be funny, but you're not going to be privy to the joke. Basically, someone in Kate's chat asked, does Ryan watch the stream? And I said yes, even though I'm not watching. It's really good. Regardless. You know, it's just it's not that it's not a real thing. It's just, it's like a fear. It's the kind of fear that people worry about instead of worrying about, or maybe in addition to worrying about, like, real things. You know what I mean? It's not that you're not going to find yourself in a place like this, but you could spend your whole life just trying to be prepared for disasters. That's, you know, we have a show about that. It's called Doomsday Prepper. We have a bug out bag, you know, not for like, you know, an EMP going off or something like that, but we have a bug out bag because we live in the Pacific Northwest, and at any given point, we could end up in a situation where there's a big earthquake. It's not, you know, there's not 100 Bitcoins in it, though. It's just like, you know, canned food and a few water bottles. Like a first aid kit and cat food, you know? You can spend your whole life worrying about that stuff. You're gonna worry about stuff, you know. I prefer to worry about the real business. I don't know what that means, though. Anyway, that's the new era we're in on Facebook. It's like grandma is concerned about everything except, like, the real things she should be concerned about. Heart attacks, you know, diseases, dementia, diabetes, etc., etc. I'm not trying to be a downer. I guess it is kind of a downer. I can see the Pepe hands in the comments already. Although people might be like, what the heck are Pepe hands? It's a Twitch thing, sweetheart. Look it up. Okay, let's get ourselves back on a positive note. Guppy's paw is possibly, like, not worth taking, but permanent Polaroid invincibility puts us in a great spot here. I got a good idea. You just got to give me a second to make it come to fruition, okay? So you use this once, but you got the lovers. Even better, dude. Just keep it going. The virus is a speed down, but otherwise good. Was it worth it? It's a debatable opinion, I suppose. I would argue possibly not, but let's move along. I told you I was gonna play a little bit better. Now, have I had to play a little bit better to win? Probably not. The run is decent, bar none, and we got a cool little thing going on with Cricket's body. That's about it, though. Were it not for Krampus's head, we might be in a bit of a tougher position, but it'll be interesting either way. Ooh. Today is Monday, by the way. I don't want to, I was just talking about maintaining my mental state. Making sure, especially, stay calm. You'll just live a happier life if you're not getting mad at stuff. For which there is no warranting, if that makes sense. But I gotta say, not rage-inducing, but just a slight salty anecdote. I was in the gym today, and I've been talking about how at the gym, number one thing that tilts me by far, people not putting their weights away. Because, for a large part of my early adult life, I was kind of a slob. But then in, like, my early 20s, mid-20s, I got it together. You know what I mean? Just started, like, taking care of myself and also my surroundings and doing my dishes and not being a baby about the fact that, yeah, sometimes you're going to have to take an hour out of your World of Warcraft time to clean your house. I've never played World of Warcraft, but you get what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? You could take an hour to clean your house and do it right, or you can spend the rest of your life explaining to people that your house is dirty because you're too smart to clean. That's my personal opinion. Plus, it's just nicer when things are clean. So when I'm in the gym, I clean up after myself because I respect other people, believe it or not, and I don't really think that it's anybody else's job to clean up after me. I always knew there were people who didn't clean up after themselves, but I had this image in my head, and the image is not fair. I pictured, I don't know, some, like, Kim Kardashian-esque wannabe Instagram influencer who would, like, do a workout and then be too busy taking selfies to clean up his or her weights, I guess. And then they would just leave because they're not malicious, but because they're maybe self-obsessed or something like that. And that, to be honest, that represents some biases and illuminates some biases that I have. And I acknowledge that, and in this case, the egg was on my face a little bit. I was in the gym today. There was a man my age, in decent shape. He, loaded up 45-pound plate on each side of the bar. Knocked out a few sets of deadlifts. Now, we don't need to talk about the fact that it's a low amount of weight. It's irrelevant in this circumstance, except that we're gonna make fun of him. So, haha, you baby. 135-pound deadlifts? Come on, dude, you're like 6'2". Anyway, were he a good person, I would not have said that, okay? Because he's a jerkhole, I feel like we can shame him slightly. Just once, no more than that, but anyway. So, he finishes his sets of deadlifts. He was gassed, and he just walked out. You might say, NL. Why didn't you go talk to him? Why didn't you go grab him and be like, hey, buddy, why aren't you picking up after yourself? Well, there's a couple of things. I didn't want to walk out and be like, hey, buddy, hey, jerk, clean up after yourself. And then he's like, yeah, dude, I'm just going out to my car to get, you know, my mom's sick and I needed to get her insulin, okay? And all of a sudden, I'm the jerk. You know, you don't know what other people are going through in their lives in this case necessarily. Yeah, why not? But then, you know, the other thing is, I don't want to get in a fight over it. I just want to complain about it because I'm super in the right. He never came back in. You might say, how do you know he didn't come back in? Because I was in the gym for like another 35 minutes after he left. You can concoct a scenario where he came back to pick up his weights, but let's be honest, it's probably unlikely. And I was surprised, you know? Litterers could look like you. They could look like me. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't think... I am annoyed by the litter, but I am also... I don't know. I take pleasure in being like the matron of the gym. Like when it's like having a child, I think, you know, like a teenage son. He left his weights there and I was like, oh, that dang kid's not picking up their weights again. And then I put it away and then I had like a little smile on my face. I was like, I made the gym a better place today so that the next person can come in and, you know, disrespect it when I come back. I don't do it for me necessarily. I do it because it's the right thing to do, however minor. And the other thing is, you know, the gym is like, I don't know, there must be a good word for this. I don't think it necessarily just applies to the gym. But I think the nicer something is, the better, the better condition something is in, the better people treat it, consciously or subconsciously. You know, if you go to somebody's house and it's like it's extremely dirty, or you're in their car and there's like, you know, fillet of fish wrappers everywhere, you're probably not gonna be like, hey dude, can I eat in your car? You're gonna be like, oh, I get it. Just throw your trash on the floor. That's, by the way, you might be watching this and be like, oh, he's talking about me, I have a dirty car. Just, what are you doing? Just clean your car. I'm not, just at least get a trash bag that you put in your car that you can put your trash into until you can take the trash bag up into your domicile, because like, that's gross. I've lived in some grossness in my life, you know, dirty dishes, poor drainage in bathrooms, etc., etc. But like, that is so preventable. With just a little bit of self-care. I wish I picked that up, but we have a spotless car. You know why? Because we don't eat in our car regularly, and when we do, we don't put the trash in the car. We put it in the freaking trash can. What's wrong with you? Respect yourself. But anyway, my opinion, and I think this is true for basically every object in life. The better condition something is in, the better you're going to treat it, you know? If you have a brand new nice cell phone, you're probably going to treat it better than if you bought like a used one and it's got a screen crack already. Maybe that's not the best example, but I think another one is like if you're in like a pristine park or you're walking down a city street and it's like spotless, you're not going to be as likely, if you're a person that's not just a horrible human being, to just like gleefully throw some trash on the ground for fun, you know? Or out of laziness. I think instead you're going to be like, yo, people are putting an effort in here, so I'm going to do the same. So I don't consider, obviously I'm not saying, oh, give me the Nobel Prize. Can I have the Nobel Prize of the gym? But I want the gym to look nicer and to be cleaner. So when I see messes that are, you know, easy to clean and just the result of the dereliction of someone's character, I don't mind cleaning it. Because I think that I'm cleaning it. I know I said earlier I'm not doing it for me, but I mean, like, come on, I'm doing it for me. Not selfishly, but all, you know, part of it is like, yeah, I want a nicer gym. I want people to treat this with respect. You know what I mean? I think it makes sense. If you don't think that makes sense, think about the way you would behave if you got it, like, you got an ice cream cone and you're eating it in, like, you know, a spotless car versus your friend's car with a bunch of old, you know, Taco Bell wrappers on the ground. I would probably behave there. I would try not to make a mess anyway because I don't want to spill the ice cream on myself in the first place. Anyway, we did it. We got the first one over. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It's a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!